Hello everyone, welcome to this time-lapse video. I've never done one of these before, but I'm going to be talking through how I modeled the monster from All She Wants for Christmas Is You. So we're already right into it. I didn't really have like a plan for this. I didn't have any reference images or anything like that. I just kind of sort of went for it, and that's how I do most of my character designs. I rarely draw them out. So I started by sculpting it in Blender, which is what I do now. And you can see I got this rough shape, and I don't really know where I came up with this idea, except for aside for the monster from Wednesday, that was an inspiration. But I just whipped up this quick shape. I think it only took probably about 10-20 minutes. And then I started sculpting it, and then I kind of did the Christmas tree hat, and then I did the tree, not the trees, the teeth, and then I started the body. So the body was kind of interesting because I wanted to do this like turkey like body, like this really big body. I don't know what I was going at in hindsight, but I mean, it was kind of cool, but I ended up scrapping it after it looked way too much like a turkey. So I was like, well, maybe the head's too big, so I scaled down the head or scaled up the head. And I just could not get it to work. So I like tested out the arms. What if like the arms came out like that? And I was like, no. So then I just restarted, and I decided to go with more of like a slim um like unfed, sort of look. I thought that would look a lot cooler, like if the legs were like noodly and stuff like that. So you can see I'm sculpting it here. I started with the chest, and then I made the neck, and then now I'm making the arms, and I'm like, get out of there. And then I make the joints by just inflating it, and then I stuck them out like that. And then for the legs, I did the exact same thing. Just kind of sculpted them and then stretched them out like that. And they started really tiny, but then I had to make them a lot bigger, as you can see. They're very, very small, tiny legs. So I just made them a lot bigger, made them more muscular, um, and just kind of overall stretched this out. I don't have a script, so I'm kind of reacting live. But there we go. So then that's kind of the base mesh done. So I did some proportion editing. I smoothed out the chest, it looks like, and then I started to play around. I started to play around with some colors. So I wanted the body to be red, and then the face to be like the skin color sort of thing going on. So I'm just kind of editing the body a little bit, making it look a little nicer, making it more appropriate for Steam and stuff, or not for Steam, for itch.io, which turned into Steam. And then I was doing the eyes. So I thought that the big round eyes were a little too cartoony, so I scaled them down to what they are now, where it's like a lot more like thin. You know what I mean? So there we go. Final like blockage design. So then I was like, let's start this. So the longest part about making rigs is something called retopology. So this isn't something that I used to do, which is why my old model used to look super bad. But essentially what you're doing is you're going through and you're redoing the model that you just did, but you're hand placing these faces onto the mesh. And what that lets you do is it lets you recreate the shape, but with a really, really clean design. And the awesome part about that is not only are you using a lot less like vertices and stuff like that, but it's also really easy to rig because it's all flowing really nicely, and it's really easy to texture because it's all flowing really nicely. But this takes forever. I do not like it. It's not fun at all. But you can see I'm kind of building around the nose here, and you want to make sure that there's no n-gons or triangles. Everything needs to be a square. And so I am just building it out. I'm trying to figure out the way that it should all go, and trying to just do all the face. It's a lot of work. It took forever. This entire video is 2 hours and 30 minutes long. I completely finished the model in 2 hours and 30 minutes from start to finish. And then I made the teaser in that time too. But this took up a good amount of it, and I am almost running out of things to say. It's a little bit unscripted, if you can tell, but this part took forever, and it's not very fun at all. But you got to do it, and the end is always worth the means. Like, trust me, you want to retopologize. Is that the word? Retopologize? I don't know. You want to do this to your models. It really helps. So the head is the hardest part by far. Every single time, it's always the hardest part. Then once you get to like the body, it's much, much, much easier because it's not as complicated, and it is a lot easier to manage and stuff like that. So I'm just finishing up the head now. I'm doing like her little like double chin, like literally like a double chin because she has like two of them, or maybe that's the jaw. I can't really tell from this angle, but overall, there we go, all done. And so I took a little break. It was very small, but I got like the final thing, and it looks like almost like a bug, which I think I liked at the time, if I remember right. So, what am I going to do now? Surprise. Looks like I'm taking a break. And I just accidentally left it recording. Good time to take breaks, guys. Make sure you do that. Okay, we're back at it. So then it looks like I took another break. Oh, there we go. Okay, so then I started doing the neck. So the neck was pretty easy. Hi, Cody. The neck was pretty easy. I just built it out like that, and then it looks like I took another break. If breaks are really important, guys. I was honestly probably texting while I'm doing this, or like watching. Oh, looks like I took a screenshot and I sent it to someone. I was probably talking to my Patreons, which shout out to the lovely Patreons. You guys are amazing. You guys are why this is taking so long. There we go. So the neck is pretty easy. It's very straightforward. You just kind of move it down, and then I did the same thing for like the body, and just wrapped around like that, and went underneath those things, and then just kind of wrapped it around and kind of made it work. Um, and so this model was a lot of fun to make. This was my first attempt at the model too. Aside from like, I mean, you already saw it, like the turkey thing. Otherwise, this was my first attempt. I didn't have like a drawing or anything like I mentioned. And I really am proud of it. It's like one of my favorite monster designs I've ever done. I think it's really simple, but it's really effective. And I really love the texturing work. That's probably the most proud I am of any texturing work ever that I've done so far. Well, yeah. So I'm just finishing up the chest and the body retopology here. I promise that it's going to be over soon. It really is not that interesting, but it is very important. It's probably the most important step, I think. Oh, took another screenshot. Love that. I really should have watched this over, but whatever. So, one of the issues I have, I mean, that everyone has, it's not just a me thing. At least I hope. Sometimes you like don't have enough vertices or lines to like make the retopology work, so you have to like add them. And sometimes you have too many, so then you have to like remove them, and then it's like, oh, am I removing detail? It's the whole thing. So now I am doing the hips, and then I'm gonna go down the legs, and the legs are super easy. As I said, you just kind of grab the ring and you just kind of extrude down and deal with all that annoyingness. And because I'm using a mirror modifier when the model itself isn't perfectly symmetrical, and then I fix that later. So you can see the difference between the the retopology and normal, and then I'm just fixing up the neck because it was very subtle, but I did them separately just for my convenience, and then boom, the model is done. So I don't think I'll show it. It looks like I'm not done actually. I gotta do the jaw. But I don't think I'll show it. But the vertice count of the original sculpted model is like 20 times higher than the one that was retopologized, and that's exceptional. That's awesome for a game, especially because you have limited resources. It has to be able to run on everyone's computer. So here I am modeling the mouth. Excuse me. The mouth was pretty hard. I struggle with that even now, but I think I did a good job. It's like a clamping mouth. Like in my mind, it makes like a gulp sound. You know what I mean? It like does that sort of thing. Hopefully that picked up in the recording. I don't think it did. It went like a. I don't think that picked up. Oh well, it's fine. So here I am modeling the Santa hat, and if you have an eagle eye, you may have noticed that I didn't retopologize that Santa hat, and that's because I'm lazy. It really doesn't matter, but I mean, it's whatever. So I'm just kind of polishing up the retopology mesh right now, and you might be really alarmed, like, yo, you're using sculpting tools, and that's okay. As long as you don't add more vertices, then you can sculpt away because it just moves the vertices around. So I checked the time, and then I got the model all done, and look at me, I'm really happy about that. So then I get onto the texturing, I think. Never mind. What am I doing? It looks like I'm back to sculpting. I'm just, that's okay. What am I doing? I honestly can't tell. What am I doing? Hold on. I'm UV unwrapping it. That's what's going on. So I'm UV unwrapping the whole thing, and I'm working on the second monitor, which I unfortunately did not record. But that's why she just turned all black now. That's because I started to paint. So I isolated the face, and then I started to paint it with this like army color, maybe like a gray. And that was just like a base coat, and then I started covering it with this peach, and was having some trouble with the bleeding, so then I did that, and then I painted the eyes, and had more trouble with the bleeding, which always happens. And then it looks like I started doing something. Oh, okay. So I started adding details. So when I make veg models, and I guess this too, I like to go in with like a really dark brush and just like fake add shadows because it goes a long way. So a lot of the shadows that you see on her body are not real. So that's what I'm doing there. And then I added a little bit of like red stain behind her eye. And then I brought in the skin textures. So these are just skin textures. And I was using them to make them look a little bit more realistic because unfortunately I'm not talented enough to just paint skin by hand. That would be kind of cool, and that would like probably save actually really no time because that would take forever. But you just use the skin texture, and there's my hand actually, and you can see me here. I photoshopped my hand because I really wanted like a gross skin texture. So I took my hand, I wrapped it in a bunch of rubber bands or whatever, and I really like held on to that blood, and so then it looks really gross like that. And you can see that I took that and I used that as a texture, and so then that's how I started to paint her flesh. So the flesh that you see, the blood that you see on her body, is real blood. It is my own blood, and that pose was very painful. But it has these really nice bumps and this really nice like pattern to it. You can see there. I'm having a field day with that texture. And then like my hand had a little bit of hair on it, so then my hair kind of got in there, but obviously like I didn't model hair, so it ended up just looking really, really cool. And you can see like on the neck especially, it looks really, really, really good. So looks like I didn't have enough resolution for the bottom, but I fixed that. And looks like the bottom's a little bit too red. I don't know if I fixed that. Yeah, I did. There we go. So there we go. Look at how it's coming together. Looking awesome. So it looks like I messed around with the eyes a bit, and then I was like, I probably gotta texture the eyes. So I took a screenshot of that, and then I just started. Oh, took another screenshot of that, and just started painting away. Took another screenshot of that, just started painting away. So I started doing her body, and the body I actually used the same skin texture, and then I think around here I realized that I was using the wrong texture, so then I fixed the texture and put it back in, and then I just kind of like tathered it up. Is that the right word? I don't know. I just started like making it look dirtier because obviously she's not gonna be like perfectly red, because she like just broke out of the ice or whatever. So I did that, and then the body was a little too shiny, so I fixed that, and then it's all starting to come together. Except for that weird patch right there. Do you see that? Yeah, I see that too. That's absolutely not what that's supposed to look like. So looks like I fixed that, but I was too concerned about her little collar thing, so I did that first. And I was just painting it a little bit wet, red and white, and then adding a displace modifier, which does the little ruffle thing without me having to worry about it. And then it looks like I did her feet, and I did that by just painting them. Nothing too complicated there. I actually don't have footage of me turning the two or the model for the itch.io model into the Steam one because they're a little bit different, but not too much, nothing too crazy. Sorry, I don't know if you could pick that up. So then I started doing her legs, and then I blend them a little bit, and then I fixed that little splotch, and then I started doing the Santa hat. The Santa hat's pretty easy. It's just a bunch of different parts. There's the white part and then the red part. And so I started with the red part, it looks like, and then I honestly just reused the body colors because I was feeling lazy as always. And then I reused her little colors for the collar and stuff like that to do the white part. And that's how I did that. And then I had to clean up that because I messed it up. And then I spilt it all over her leg. So I had to fix that too. And then I had to fix all of that stuff. And then boom, her model came out looking good as new. I took another screenshot. And boom. So then I'm just starting to do little details here. So I felt like the body looked a little bit too flat. So well, that's apparently not what I thought right now. But I did think that the body felt a little too flat. So then I added more shadows. And actually, never mind, we are here and we are rigging. So I started rigging this thing. Obviously, I didn't use like Rigify or anything like that because I haven't really used it, but I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be able to rig something like this. Like it's humanoid shape, but just like the neck and the head and all of that. And plus, I like to make my own rigs. It just makes things easier because I can understand it better. And the rig is primarily designed to work for Unity, so I gotta make it simple. I can't have like cool features and stuff. Although I did add one. But right now I'm just setting up some IK because I don't want to be animating that by hand. That would be awful. So I'm just setting all that stuff up, and then I was making sure that it all looked good and it all worked good. And the nice part about making models, because I used to do Minecraft stuff, the nice part about making real life models is you can just, for the most part, the automatic weight paint works wonders. It is amazing what that thing can do. So I just set it up on that one side, and then I just duplicated it, and then I auto weight painted it, and we were good to go, to be honest. It did the hips, everything's looking good, everything's perfect, so then I started doing the face. The face was a little bit more complicated. I wanted a little bit more control, so I just started doing that, and I think I'm using the mirror thing as well that I just did. Symmetry. That's what it's called. I forgot what it was called. It's pretty late, but it looks like she is working great. I just did the face, and I really like how the face looked. I thought I could express a lot of emotions. Not that I really did in the animation itself, but it was like a work in progress. So then I did the jaw, and the jaw was pretty easy. It's just a single bone, so I could just paint that pretty simply like that. And then the top, not the top hat, the Santa hat, just like that, nice and easy, super super easy. So I think the eyes were the only thing that were left. So they were, if you noticed, they were not textured. They just kind of have that temp texture. So I think I realized that pretty fast. And I think I was lazy and just reused the texture for the eyes. Oh, there they are. And then I made like a master eye where I can like control them both just to make animation easier. Then it looks like I got working on her mouth, and I made the inside a little bit better, and then I kind of polished that up, and looks like I had teeth, and the teeth have to be really low poly because they have to work in Unity and stuff like that. So I just kind of placed them all around, and then I should have textured them beforehand, but I didn't. And then I just kind of do that, and then I do that, and I move them to the top, blah blah blah. Teeth are very fun. They're pretty easy to do. I like her teeth because they're like a little, you know what I mean? They're sharp. They're very sharp and tiny. Like realistically, I don't think they could do anything. They're like needles though. So then I realized that I forgot her eyes, and so here I am painting them. It looks like I actually did do an original texture for them. So I painted them, and then I added the texture for them, and it looks like I just ended up going with texturing on the pupil instead of modeling it. Maybe. I actually can't tell. Looks like I'm doing it again. I wasn't happy with the last time. So there we go. It looks like, okay, so I do that, and then I made the eyes darker around the edges, and then I think I fit them to the model and then made them extrude. I can't remember. Oh well. But then I had the model done basically. So I hooked it up and did a really cool teaser because this is when no one had any idea what I was doing. And then I set up some lights, and this was the first time I really got to see it. Look at that subdivision surfacing. This is Eevee, by the way. Look at just how incredible that looked. And then I just got to work, and I just did that, and then I was super happy with that teaser. I was like, yes, yes. And then I tested if you could overexpose it, and then I saved it, and then I posted it on all of my socials, like Discord and stuff. And boom, that is how that was made. So hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!